This week's episode is brought to you by the Disney DVD release of Gravity Falls: Six Strange Tales, available now on DVD.
Communicore Weekly. Come on and get geeky. We bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly. You might catch some freaking. You waited all week. I'm sure you already know that it's the greatest online show.
Hello and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show and home of the world's first pair of independently born identical twins. I'm George.
And I'm Jeff.
So Jeff, I was listening to the voicemails the other day. It looks like we got one from somebody named Eisner.
Yeah, it was really weird. I've never heard of this guy before. Maybe let's just play it.
Okay.
Hello, boys. It's your old friend Eisner, and I just wanted you to know I've been watching you, and I will destroy you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Well now. Okay.
That was a little weird.
Yeah, well, I'm looking behind me right now.
Just in case.
Nobody's there, so.
Well, that's good to know.
Well, that's interesting. I guess we'll have to get his address and mail him a Communicore Weekly Cadet button.
Yeah, sure. And speaking of, don't forget, you can still give us a call and leave a voicemail on the Communicore Weekly hotline at 424-785-4628 if you want to leave a voicemail as well, and we can send you a button also.
Yeah, and we'll try to use it on a future mailbag episode.
Yeah, just don't threaten us like that last one did. That was a little weird.
Really creepy. I mean, I guess you should be more creeped out because you're probably closer to where he is.
That's true. That is very true.
Now, did the call come from inside the house?
No, now I'm gonna have to check. Now you have me a little paranoid.
Ooh, yeah, I'm a little worried. Maybe we should move on with the show and talk about something.
Yeah, let's do that. Take my mind off it.
It's time for Disney History.
The golf resort was one of the first three Walt Disney World resorts. It lasted from 1973 to 1986 when it was converted to the Disney Inn with the decidedly Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs theme. A lot of speculation on the change in resort theming centers on the ideas that the theme of golf really never found its audience and the resort was fairly landlocked.
So, unlike the Polynesian and Contemporary, and really even Fort Wilderness, the amenities weren't all there. There were fewer places to eat and absolutely no water recreation outside of a swimming pool and I guess your hotel bathtub in your room.
That basically means there's no bob around boats.
Yeah, there were no bob around boats, so thumbs down. There were many complaints from that time that said it was easier to walk to the Polynesian, which was a 15-minute walk, and grab the monorail than it was to wait on an actual bus. If they only knew how long it took Walt Disney World buses today.
Yeah, a little bit longer than that.
A little bit longer.
So, why did the Disney Inn suffer a lack of marketing and attendance? Well, did most golfers want to stay at the more family-friendly resorts and then travel to the golf resort / Disney Inn to hit the links? In all honesty, it had a lot of issues with its poor attendance. Simply the lack of marketing done by Walt Disney World for the resort was probably the main issue. And if you think about it now, how many of you have actually heard of the golf resort or the Disney Inn before this segment actually started? That kind of proves our point, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you heard the silence. Nobody responded.
Exactly. Nobody responded.
So okay. All right. So the Disney Inn, according to the few marketing materials that we've been able to find, was a serene hideaway nestled in a peaceful corner of the world. Beautiful poolside fountains, rustic charm, and a country inn make the Disney Inn a real getaway from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Here we go. Plus, convenient Disney transportation will get you to the Magic Kingdom or Epcot Center whenever you want. And those quotes are all from the Walt Disney World Resort Vacation Guide from 1987.
Whenever you want, provided it's on their schedule. That should have been the asterisk at the end of it. So, also according to the guide, you can enjoy tennis, jogging, swimming, sunbathing, golf on the Palm and Magnolia courses, a quiet walk along tree-lined paths, and a good old rest and relaxation. So when it's time for something mouth-watering, the Garden Gallery would satisfy with an impressive menu in a beautiful sunlit atmosphere. And as a great tagline for the resort, Disney promoted it like this: "Fill your next vacation with Disney fun and nature's beauty at the Disney Inn in the heart of our world."
But really far away.
But really far from everything you want to see.
Yeah, we added that last part, not
Yeah.
Disney.
Yeah.
That was.
This is why we're not in marketing. Well, I'm actually in marketing, but
Well, yeah, but slightly different.
yeah.
Yeah, that's patented Communicore Weekly snark. Okay.
TM.
Well, golf and Walt Disney World have always been linked.
I see what you did there.
I tried that since the resort opened. The Championship Palm and Magnolia golf courses have hosted the Walt Disney World Golf Classic since the opening in 1971. However, the golf resort, which opened in December of 1973, was an intimate 125-room resort located off the monorail route but adjacent to the Magic Kingdom. It was surrounded by the woods, lawns, and fields of the two golf courses. The resort had a lush and secluded appeal and an intimacy of service unlike any of the other resort properties.
And when you think about it, it's really not surprising to learn that many of the Walt Disney Productions, the WED Enterprises, and the Walt Disney Attractions executives were actually avid golfers. In February 1986, another 150 guest rooms were added to the resort, and its name was changed then to the Disney Inn because research revealed that many guests thought that the resort was a golfers-only retreat, and of course, that was not the case. It was not good for their marketing, clearly.
Yeah. So one of the new hotels I've heard they're opening, Jeff, is the Pin Traders Resort. Then they've got the Vinyl Mason Resort.
See,
So-
I guess we can't go there because we're neither of those things.
Well, no, they're open for everybody.
Oh, but I'm not gonna go because they cater to that one audience.
Well, there you go.
See, that was a marketing idea that we just had just now. That was a simulated conversation that was basically like that. that was you being in the brain trust. That's what we were trying to do for you.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's not a
Yep.
fake rumor.
Not a fake rumor. Okay, let's move along. So, okay.
Go on.
Well, after the name change, remodel had given the Disney Inn a new look. Guest rooms were redecorated, including dividers that were separating the sleeping area from the section that had the sofa and a table to give each room sort of like a mini suite feel. There was a quilt on each bed, furniture made of light oak, and floral accents added to a basic countrified feeling. The Disney Inn also had a pleasantly relaxed atmosphere, more akin to that of the villas at the Disney Village Resort, but the Disney Inn was considerably more convenient to the main activities of Walt Disney World. Buses, here we go again, make the short trip between the Disney Inn, the Polynesian Village Resort, and the Transportation and Ticket Center every 15 minutes.
I wonder if they actually stuck to that 15-minute guideline because they certainly do not stick to that today.
No.
So for the eateries there, the Bright Garden Gallery was one of the most pleasant spots in the entirety of Walt Disney World for a meal. Many Disney executives they frequented the Garden Gallery for lunch because even when the crowds at the other resort restaurants were big, tables were always tended to be fairly quiet here at the Garden Gallery. And the menu focused on American cuisine. They also had fresh seafood, fresh vegetables, and all the dishes were prepared with some very light sauces. I don't know what those sauces were, but they were light sauces.
Yeah, they just didn't weigh much.
Yeah. Like me.
So, skinny Jeff. So at breakfast, there was an abundant all-you-can-eat buffet. Lunch featured a varied salad bar plus individual menu selections. And the dinner menu featured several fresh seafood selections plus beef, veal, and fowl. Wow.
Yummy.
Yeah. There was a seafood bar with oyster, shrimp, and crab claws. So, yeah, this is... I don't know. Not hitting my palate at all. But
Nothing
that's
you
okay.
really want there?
Nah, well, maybe the beef.
Okay.
I'm not a seafood guy, but that's okay. Well, don't worry, Jeff. There was also a children's menu.
Yes.
I
I can
know.
eat mac and cheese. Here
Yes.
I come.
And chicken fingers.
Chicken fingers. Don't eat my chicken fingers. They're mine.
No, don't touch them. So, well, and there was also the Sand Trap, which was a poolside snack bar for drinks, sandwiches, hot dogs, and chips, which is probably where I would have spent most of my time. And the back porch was it adjoined the Garden Gallery and was a light and airy spot that was lovely for a drink.
Now, the Disney Inn was actually leased from Disney in February 1994 and then purchased outright in 1996 because of, believe it or not, military downsizing. So the military actually bought this place. Since more and more military personnel are stationed stateside, having affordable recreation opportunities is considered kind of necessary for morale. So they renamed it the Shades of Green and the inn is now open only to active, retired, and reserve members of the armed services and civilian employees of the military. And the Army runs similar hotels in South Korea, in Germany, and Hawaii, but Shades of Green is the first such operation in the continental United States, and it is staged by non-Disney civilians, and it is self-supporting. So it's part of the the Walt Disney World Resort. Man, that was a mouthful. I'm going to kick for that one. It's part of the Walt Disney World Resort, but it's not actually part of it. It's run by the military.
So you've got, Walt Disney World Resort, which is part of the Reedy Creek Improvement District, which isn't really anyways, we'll get all timey-wimey.
Inceptions.
Yeah, Wom. Okay.
Wom.
So after the 1996 purchase, there were a few more changes to the restaurants. The Garden Gallery would be renamed the Disney Inn Restaurant. There would also be the introduction of the Diamond Mine, which was a snack spot offering sandwiches, beer, salads, sodas, and more.
So according to the 1994 souvenir guide, strollers can enjoy the view of the surrounding gardens from a lovely gazebo. Rolling green lawns and a lovely lakeside gazebo invite strollers to linger, while friendly ducks looking for a handout elicit laughter from younger guests. That's my marketing voice, by the way.
That's pretty good.
It was good,
Not
right?
bad.
Well,
Not bad.
I practice. But in this case, I'm pretty sure strollers means people who are walking and not the sea of carriages that you will find by It's a Small World. Two completely different things. But there was also the Happy Hollows Recreation Center, which had the grist mill, which provided a perfect New England country inn setting for old-fashioned family together time. Now, I have never stayed there before. It looked quite lovely in the photographs. Mm-hmm. I wish I had the time machine to go check it out at least once, but because it's just one of those places that, I would like to go see.
Oh, yeah, it's on.
I can now. Martina's family is retired military, so I can check that place out.
Oh, I thought you meant go back in time. I was like, wait a minute.
That's right. I forgot to tell you about that time machine I bought off the internet. George, I bought a time machine off the internet.
Did you get the flux capacitor version or?
Nope.
Ooh.
It's a surprise. I'll show you yesterday what I got.
Good. I can't wait for the trip report.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
So it seems like Disney Editions is publishing one flagship title a year. Last year it was the spectacular poster art of Disney Parks. And when word came out that Disney was releasing a book detailing the history of Tinkerbell, I had my fingers crossed for the best. So this book is Tinkerbell: An Evolution by Mindy Johnson. This book is a deeply satisfying read about the iconic Disney pixie. It's relatively easy to compare this book to J.B. Kaufman's Fairest One of Them All, since it features a similar progression in looking at Tinkerbell's history pre-Disney, the development of the Peter Pan film that launched her, and everything post-Peter Pan. And it's a style that works very well, especially with the character that Disney did not create. Okay, so the book itself is comprised of 3 acts that follow Tinkerbell's origin, the Peter Pan film, and everything after the film, which sadly does include the recent Pixie Hollow films, but we'll cover that a little bit later. So the meatiest chunk of the book, over 110 of the 192 pages, is dedicated to the Peter Pan animated film that was released in 1953. This does make the most sense, since the creation of the Pixie within the confines of the film is most directly tied to the company itself. Okay, so the first section, Act 1, is called The World's Most Famous Fairy. It is an incredibly wonderful look back at J.M. Barrie and the creation of Peter Pan. It's not exhaustive, but it covers enough of Barrie's life and work to create an understanding of how and why the author created the Pixie. There were several eye-opening moments in the text and many photos from Barrie's life that help propel the story. And we learn how the Scottish travelers and the young boys of the Llewellyn Davis family influenced Barrie's earliest works and the specific tales and characters in Peter Pan. Okay, so the development of the play itself at the beginning is really fascinating, especially seen in today's light. The play was continuously worked on and added to by Barrie during the first few years, and it gained a lot of popularity, and as it made its way to larger stages in film, really found a lot of various stars in theaters where it was performed. So the 1924 silent version by Paramount Pictures was actually lauded for the special effects, considered groundbreaking, and directly influenced the Walt Disney himself when making his animated version of the film. So Act 2, The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up, specifically focuses on the development of Peter Pan, the film itself, over an almost 20-year period. And of course, more specifically, the creation and evolution of Tinkerbell. Mark Davis, the legendary animator and Imagineer, is credited with her final look, but he gladly steps in to share his influences, which include many of the animators that had a hand in Tinkerbell's design, including Bianca Majoli, David Hall, Mary Blair, and John Jack Miller. And hopefully a few of those names are familiar. Act 3, the final section, is called Flying to New Horizons and covers everything after Peter Pan to the new Pixie Hollow films. A large part of this section is dedicated to Tinkerbell at Disneyland through her promotional material and in-park appearances. And it's almost mind-boggling to see how many Disneyland items Tink showed up on. We also see other products that Tink helped hawk. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Like Peter Pan peanut butter and her limited comic book appearances, which I had no idea she'd been in a comic book. The last section, thankfully, is rather small and looks at the current state of the Pixie. I'm not going to comment on the Pixie Hollow releases, mainly because I really don't care about them, but there are very few pages dedicated to them itself. It really seemed more like a way to keep Tinkerbell in the public eye and create another princess franchise, so to speak. And on a side note, this is the second book this year from Disney Editions that has a very odd picture. The Roy E. Disney book is really good, but many of the photos are fuzzy or pixelated. And I ran across a photo on page 186 of the Tinkerbell book, and it is incredibly pixelated too, like they took it from a website, which is really odd. I found some mistakes in Disney published books this year, and it's been very disappointed. But that shouldn't stop you from buying this book. Overall, I really loved it. It is a fantastic, incredibly detailed look at our favorite Pixie and the cultural phenomenon that she is. And I'd love to see someone tackle Peter Pan and many of the other animated features in the same vein as this book and J.B. Kaufman's works. But this is a great book for Tinkerbell fans or anyone with an interest in Disney animation history, and it is called Tinkerbell and Evolution by Mindy Johnson.
What we liked, what we didn't like, yays and the booze. 60-second review.
Okay, for this week's 60-second review, we're looking at the latest Disney DVD release for Gravity Falls: Six Strange Tales. I didn't really say that real spooky enough.
No, you should have said it much more spooky, but that's okay.
But that's okay. This is a DVD release of the fairly popular show that was on the Disney Channel, sort of like a kid's version of the X-Files.
I want to say X-Files meets Erie, Indiana in the middle of nowhere.
That's pretty good. That's actually a pretty good response to it. So we're both big fans of it. I know I caught a bunch of when it came out originally and then dropped off and then started catching up a few other ones. But Jeff, you're more of a slobbering fan with this.
Yeah, I've seen most of them at this point. So when this showed up, I was like, this is excellent. I love the show. I think it's very hilarious. I think it's very nicely done. I think it's another one, it has the same Phineas and Ferb vibe where there's stuff in there that the kids will find funny, but there's also jokes that adults will find humorous as well.
Yes.
And I think the show overall is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it follows two twins, Dipper and Mabel Pines, and they're sort of shuttled off to their grunkle, their great uncle.
Their great uncle.
Grunkle Stan, who runs the Mystery Shack in Gravity Falls, Oregon. And, what I love about the show is there are so many little hidden things. In the intro, there's a little hidden phrase at the end of every episode that you have to sort of decode and figure out. And there's supposed to be lots of clues throughout it. And it's just got a great, you want to watch it at night, a little spooky type show. Great characters. I love the voice acting. This episode, this DVD set does include 6 episodes.
Yes.
Actually, the first 6.
Here's the downside. I wish it would have included all of them. That's my only gripe with the DVD set.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. It's one I think we both enjoyed and we'd like to recommend it, but I wanted to see more. There were no special editions. There were a couple of Easter eggs. I was trying to think if there was a better term besides Easter eggs.
No, that's the best term for it.
With Gravity Falls. But if you move the controller around on the screen or the remote control, you'll see little spiders. And you click on them, they'll run a small little screen of something.
Or you can cheat and put it in your computer and use your mouse to find them.
Ooh, that'll work too. That'll work too.
It makes it a lot easier.
But even the 14-year-old and 9-year-old were kind of like, yeah, this is kind of blasé. They enjoyed the show. We love the show. They were watching it, sat with us and watched the whole thing and really enjoyed it. But I think it would have been nice to have a little bit of extras, maybe a look at the writers or what we're seeing.
Even the voice, the voice actors in their, the booth recording. I think that would have been cool to see that, because I think the voice acting is really fantastic, and it seems like they have a lot of fun with it. So I would have enjoyed seeing them at work.
Yeah, that would have been nice to do that. When you mentioned it's got that Phineas and Ferb vibe, it's something I like to. We've seen a lot with a lot of the shows lately on the Disney channels. Are getting a lot smarter, and not just going after the kid audience, but whole families.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have the songs like Phineas and Ferb.
No, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's got great characters. You really get to know them and feel for them, and as much as I like watching Grunkle Stan, I'm not sure how much I feel about him being a flim-flam man at some point. I like you, Grunkle Stan, but still.
But overall, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's definitely worth picking up.
I think so too. I think you'll enjoy, especially if you got some younger kids that might be into more of the, as Jeff mentioned, more of the X-Files meets Erie, Indiana side.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a five-legged goat.
In the Main Street Confectionery at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, near the fudge counter, you'll find a program for the 1893 Columbian World Exposition in Chicago. The proprietors of the shop, Thomas and Kitty McCrum, were actually amazed by the new mechanical inventions that they saw at the fair, and Thomas kind of looked at the mechanization of the fudge or candy on their return, so examples of his machines that he created for it on display behind the fudge counter. Also, it should be noted that Walt's father, Elias, was a contractor at that very World's Fair.
I like it when the five-legged goats are they make you go, huh. You don't see them right off the bat.
Yeah, there's a lot of research that has to be done behind them, really,
piece
to kind of get it
together.
Yes.
And that's just because we're pretty amazing.
And nerdy. But we'll go with amazing.
Yeah, we'll go with that one. Unless we a nerd-mazing.
Nerd-mazing.
We'll call it that way. So, well, okay, I guess that's time to wrap things up then. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening to us.
Yeah, be sure to leave us a comment and rate us on iTunes. Let us know how geek-tastic we are. See, I just added a new one right there.
Another one. Very nice. Okay, and you can always email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com, and we're happy to be emailed almost anything.
Yeah, for the most part. I like getting emails. You can also like us on the Facebook at facebook.com/Communicore Weekly.
Yep, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Imagineering, and he's at Jeff Heimbuck.
You can also call us in the Communicore Weekly hotline at 424-785-4628. Leave us a voicemail. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. And for Jeff Heimbuck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff Heimbuck. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.